Hello everybody and welcome back to another Fallout 4 modding video. Today we're checking out another Commonwealth weapon release, another one by myself and Pig with some small help from others. And this mod is going to be a big one for us because I do believe it is our first gun based on one of the old Interplay games. I'm talking Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and even Fallout Tactics. Now, this is only marginally true. I mean, it is true. It's just that there are guns that we've made that have appeared in those games, but we were never intending them to be the versions from those games. For example, we did make a Plasma Defender and an FN FAL, but neither of which were supposed to be their counterparts from Fallout 1 or Fallout 2. As very clearly, our Defender was intended to be the New Vegas version, and the FAL was just a FAL. It wasn't the Fallout FAL. It was just a FAL, and honestly, I kind of forgot there was even one in Fallout 2. This time around, though, we have one that was intended to represent a gun from the past games. Today, we're checking out a mod known as the Hunting Carbine. This is a rifle we've been wanting to make for a very long time, and it is meant to fill the role of a later game hunting rifle, hence Hunting Carbine. Part of that same lineage, so to speak, a hunting rifle for the late game. Still semi-automatic only, so it will benefit from rifle perks just like the original hunting rifle, but instead of bolt action, we're going to trade up to semi-automatic. This weapon is based on a real-life weapon known as the AR-16. I believe it was more of a prototype weapon. It might have had some small use in some conflict, if any, or at the very least maybe sold in some private markets. But while we were developing this weapon, as much as we wanted to just do an AR-16 on its own, we kind of realized that this thing looks quite a bit like the old Rangemaster, which, funny enough, was also a hunting rifle. So we decided to lean into that. That's right, the Rangemaster that everybody knows as the Rangemaster in the old games was actually just called the hunting rifle. Well, we already have a hunting rifle, but since we were making a hunting carbine, and ours looked so much like the sprite, we figured we could probably do some more with that. Now, some parts are mostly just coming straight from the AR-16 and some of its prototype images, but we do have a few that are completely inspired by the original sprites for the Rangemaster. Now, the hard part when it comes to remaking these Fallout guns is that the sprites are so small and blurry that it's really hard to recreate them one-to-one sometimes. They're just too small and too blurry to really make out the details, and so some things are left to interpretation. I've seen some people argue that this is a grip, but actually it's a magazine, but actually it's a bipod, and it's a whole thing. So we're not going to treat this as a one-to-one recreation, especially since it was almost an afterthought, but more so this is a redesign of the weapon if it were to be made again for Fallout 4. This is what I think a modern update to the weapon would look like, and we've seen stuff like that already in Fallout 4 with a complete redesign to the 10mm, so something like that for the Rangemaster I don't think is too crazy. Not only that, but we're also not going off of the 1 and 2 hunting rifle. We're actually going to be more inspired by the one from Fallout Tactics, because the one from Fallout Tactics has a bit of a cleaner sprite. It also shows a magazine, whereas the other two do not, and it is placed pretty much how ours is, and that one comes in 308. Or at least as close as it can, considering that that game had some pretty loose guidelines as to what an ammo type was. It was technically chambered in 7.62, but that was it. 7.62, not by 39, not by 51, and it seems to be used interchangeably for both throughout the game. Sometimes it's 39 if it makes sense, and in cases like this, I think it's more likely to be 51, probably a 308 style hunting rifle. At its core, though, this weapon is still going to be an AR-16 at heart. That's what it was built around. Again, semi-auto only in 308 to be a pretty cool niche design, sort of like a DMR, but more for the civilian market, something more for hunting. And it's just going to happen to have some bonus parts from the Rangemaster and a heavily inspired unique that I think you guys are going to like. That being said, I've talked a lot about the Rangemaster here. If you're looking for something that's more trying to be a one-to-one of the sprite, I'd recommend checking out the one by J. Cruz. That's an excellent Rangemaster if you're looking for something more in that vein of things, and I believe his is also chambered in 5.56. So if you're looking for something like that, his is the way to go. But if you want something a little more transformative, maybe a bit of a different interpretation of what that weapon could be in the modern games, then go ahead and sit tight. I think you guys will like this one. Man, I can't believe I rambled for that long on that part. I just like to talk sometimes, I guess. So let's go ahead and speed through the important bits and get into the showcase itself. This thing, of course, comes with custom animations, very similar to the ones that we had on the AR-18, which is a very close relative of this weapon, clearly. But either way, we found a way to make it unique and niche. I need to stop talking. Continuing on, we have level-less integration, of course, which means you can find this weapon out in the world, specifically on Raider bosses, Brotherhood of Steel, Gunners, Minutemen, and you can purchase it from vendors, all of which happens after level 20. It's a pretty powerful gun being semi-automatic in 308, so keep that in mind. There is also a unique built into the mod, but once again, we have an optional unique you can download that will be working with our Commonwealth Weaponry vendor mod. So if you just download this mod on its own, it'll have one unique that's wonderful, but there is a second unique if you choose to download the optional file, and you can purchase it from one of our Commonwealth Weaponry vendor NPCs. Not much more to talk about there. Let's go ahead and jump in game so I don't waste any more of your guys' time, because there's a good bit of stuff to cover here that I think you'll enjoy quite a lot. Okay, so for the in-game stuff, we should start off, of course, with the stat block here. This thing is a base damage of 44, chambered in 308, no munitions patch for this guy, though feel free to update this any way you want. If you'd like it to be more like the original, you could put it in 556, or even in munitions 223 to be exactly like the original Rangemaster. As you can see, this thing is very much just an AR-16, but with some attachments, you can get more of that profile with a different stock, as well as removing the top cover here. It starts to look a lot like the Rangemaster sprite. The only thing that's different, really, to me, is the rear sight block back here. That could be removed theoretically, but then the weapon wouldn't function very well. So I think this is a perfectly fine modern update to the design. This thing has a range of 179, a fire rate of 36, again, only in semi-auto. There is no full auto for this thing. If you want that, you should go check out our AR-180 mod. This thing has an accuracy of 58, a weight of 11.1 pounds for this massive 308 spewing hunk of steel and wood, and a value of 110 caps. And altogether, I have to say, I like this thing a lot. I love the AR-18/AR-180, but this thing comes in a close second, especially because it's so close to the old one. They are very, very similar guns, very clearly from the same lineage, but this one comes in 308, and I do love me a DMR, so I like it quite a lot. Let's go ahead and check out the animations on this thing. So, pretty simple stuff. We are going to be borrowing the animations from the AR-180 because, again, very, very similar structure, so it does make a bit of sense. Let's go ahead and check out the iron sights on this thing. They are pretty clean. Very reminiscent, I think, of a FAL iron sight. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the animations. Pretty simple stuff. It works exactly as it should. Not much more to say there. They look pretty dang good. Now, when it comes to uniques, we of course have one unique known as the Rangemaster, which leans into the vibe of the original gun completely with the exposed top barrel here, some nice wraps around. We weren't sure if they were supposed to be leather or rubber bands, so we just kind of winged it there and kind of matched the color the best we could, with a grip that sort of is inspired from the original sprite. Now, what's cool about the Rangemaster is, unlike most sprites, it actually does have a 3D model that is viewable in a render from the old games. There is actually an image of a guy holding one of these standing in front of a Deathclaw completely in 3D, and we got a better look at some of this, and we were able to infer a little bit more, and we were surprised to find that our gun looked very, very similar. Again, if you were just to rip off this rear sight, it's practically the same gun. Kinda. It was a little different for back then, but it was pretty close. So I'm happy that we could recreate one that looks very, very similar here. There's even a custom loading screen now with art that resembles that original image, and I think that's very fun. If you want to get your hands on this thing, well, I'll go ahead and take you there because, quite frankly, it's a little hard to pronounce. So if you want to get your hands on this thing, you actually need to head over to this lake right here. Lake Cochituate. I'm pronouncing that wrong for sure. But I'm actually going to spawn at the mass fusion disposal site because it's a bit closer to the location. It's a pretty dang big lake, and we want to head to the south side down here. So if we go ahead and start walking that direction, you can actually see the location from here. It is that little cabin, which if I'm being 100% honest, I don't remember if that cabin is there in vanilla or if Pig added it for the purpose of this weapon. It looks vanilla to me. I think that he just found a good spot for this thing. He'll probably correct me in the comments if I am wrong. Okay, can't jump through there, so we need to go around completely. As you can see, we have a nice little hunting and fishing cabin, which is the best possible place for a Rangemaster. And this thing is found in this duffel bag here, which is locked. We can, of course, unlock that because somehow my level 58 character can't do that. Oh, you're joking me. That's why, because I forget. I always forget every time. I think I mentioned this before. I'm using this version of the leveling system, and it is a pain. So let's go ahead and bump it up quite a bit. That should do it. As you can see, I haven't leveled up in quite some time. So let's go ahead and say yes to that. And now we can totally open it. There we go. Time for the next hurdle, I guess. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Oh yeah. I already looted it earlier. It reset because I waited a long time. Typically it's right there. Just trust me on that. It is normally right there. Okay, that was a fumble. Anyways, we do have one more unique, like I mentioned. There is an optional unique you can get thanks to the Commonwealth Weaponry add-on. So if you want one more unique, if you download that, you can purchase this guy from a Commonwealth Weaponry vendor. And I have to say, I'm very happy with the overall design. This thing came out super cool, matching our Commonwealth Weaponry colors with some fun patterns. I love the magazine, especially. Looks super cool. So what if you wanted your hunting rifle to do a bit more damage against normal enemies like raiders? The Manhunter has got you covered. It's a hunting rifle for sure, just a bit of a bigger and smarter game most of the time. This thing is pretty cool. It just has the bonus damage for humans with the Hitman effect. And like I said, you just get this by purchasing it from a Commonwealth Weaponry vendor, specifically Frank, if you have that mod and this patch installed. Alright, so as usual, let's go ahead and talk about attachments. Over at the weapons workbench, we've got a good bit to cover here, and I'm pretty happy with most of these. For receivers, it's your usual stuff for a semi-automatic, no need to dwell on that. But for barrels, we have a short barrel, a short light barrel, which as you can see has the top removed here. Very, very cool and slick. I have to say I like the design for that. And much more akin to the OG Rangemaster sprite. We have a long version of that barrel as well, and then for the light. And then a marksman barrel and a light marksman barrel, which come with a bipod attached, which makes for a pretty cool DMR if you want this thing to be even more long range. Equipping a muzzle extends past the bipod as well for a better profile, so keep that in mind. For stocks, we have the full stock, which is a fun and original design for this thing. I think it looks really cool. Then the light stock is more inspired by the real AR-16 stock, and in my opinion, it looks quite a bit like the one from the Rangemaster sprite as well. We also have a heavy stock, which is a complete wraparound, including a thumb hole style stock pistol grip combination, and this thing is really cool. I'm quite happy with the design on that one. That one was completely an original idea, and I think it's sick. For the recoil compensating stock, as you can see, we have a pretty interesting stock at the back here with some funky looking device that allows you to dampen your recoil a bit. And then we have a marksman stock, which has a cheek pad and a huge block on the grip here, just like your sort of PSG-1 style grip for a sniper rifle. Then for magazines, we have standard. We have a quick eject version of that, medium and quick, and then large and quick. And that one's quite funny because it's very, very long. For sights, we have the standard iron sight. We have glow iron sights, a dot sight in the form of an aim point, a hollow sight in the form of a bushnell, and a reflex sight in the form of a Trigicon. We have a laser sight for our laser sight aiming, a combat scope in the form of an ACOG, a short scope in the form of a Colt 3x, a medium scope, long scope, medium night vision scope, a medium recon scope, and a medium thermal scope, a long night vision scope, a long recon scope, and a long thermal scope, which is absolutely a massive scope, but I think it looks so cool on this rifle, especially with the full marksman kit. It's a design that I like quite a lot. For muzzles, we have the option for no muzzle, a bayonet with our custom bayonet from the AR-180, a compensator, muzzle brake, which is massive, and I enjoy this quite a bit. It might look a little Barrett-y, but I specifically took this design actually from PUBG. They added a muzzle brake to that game that I thought looked so cool that I wanted one of my own. And then we have a makeshift suppressor with a Nuka-Cola can and a regular suppressor as well. And we have one more category for accessories. We have the option for no accessory, a flashlight, a broken laser. Oh no, it's not broken. That's so strange. In Kodabos's video, it shows up pink. And yet I'm on an older version and mine is fine. How intriguing. We also have a VATS targeting module too. So, wonder why his was broken. We'll have to look into that. That's awfully strange. But yeah, guys, that is our AR-16 sort of Rangemaster inspired rifle known as the Hunting Carbine. If you want to check out this mod for yourself, it will be linked down in the description below as always. And if you'd like to check me out over on Patreon, that's a great way to support my work directly, whether it's the videos I make here on YouTube or the mods I make on Nexus. If you're looking for a free alternative, which is a preferred option because I don't want anybody spending money on me, I would just say give this video a like or give the mod an endorsement over on the Nexus if you would like to support me directly. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed again, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!